Others are joining us. Wonderful. Wonderful. So I invite each of you to introduce yourselves in the chat. I am Neely Hicks, and I'm the Executive Director of Harper Hill Global. Since 2017, we have strengthened existing community relationships in Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. These programs support rape victims, they reduce stigma, and they provide trauma recovery. Our focus today is on women's leadership in trauma recovery. And as we move through this webinar, um, Marilyn, if you will make sure that you keep an eye on the waiting room to invite more people in. Um, so our focus today is on women's leadership in trauma recovery. And as we move through this webinar, we acknowledge the sensitive nature of the subject that we're going to be talking about today. So I'd like to invite each of you to begin with some deep breathing, and I'll just lead you through this. And you can return to the deep breathing if you feel triggered at any point during this. So I invite you to just settle back into your seat with your feet on the ground and relax your hands, palms up, and begin with a big, deep out breath through your mouth, like you're blowing out birthday candles. And inhale deeply and slowly through your nose. Exhaling deeply through your mouth. Inhaling deeply through your nose. And exhaling deeply through your mouth. Today, we are joined by two phenomenal women who are leading efforts in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Northern Nigeria. I'm going to begin by sharing a brief introduction of them and then short videos that you'll be able to get a glimpse into the world and context that they live in. So Doris Adamu Jenis is the founder of Triumph Over Trauma and Stigma Initiative in Northern Nigeria in Gombe. And Doris is a phenomenal leader of women who has multiplied the efforts that she and Dr. Rhoda Manzo began in 2021 to reach over 65,000 people in trauma recovery throughout the region. You're going to be learning more about how she has done this and how we can help her continue to build up her work and her reach. Bibiche Okala Ohanga is a nurse who is a survivor of rape, who I met years ago in Kindu, DR Congo, as we were building a women's center, which you can see in the portrait behind her. That was in the early stages of it. Bibiche indicated that she wanted to become a nurse, and Harper Hill Global supported that effort. Later, she moved to Goma and was there during this latest conflict and remains there. And she supports women survivors of rape, helping them realize their dreams. One of the people that she has helped is now going to study to become a nurse and follow in Bibiche's footsteps. And as I said, I am Neely Hicks. I have been working in information communications technology for development since really 2005. And I have worked in communication campaigns, and I continue to work in communication campaigns that lift up and empower the human spirit, that bring education in public health, issues and also trauma recovery to people in remote places throughout the world. I want to begin with a video to share Bibiche's work with you. And I think I need to share this again with sound. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, a violent eruption clash broke out last year, and it has resulted in thousands of women being raped. When women are raped there, they then receive the stigma from society that tells them they are not as worth as much as they once were. In this conflict, some husbands were killed. In this conflict, some boyfriends, husbands, because of the stigma. And so these women were left alone at a time in their life where they needed the most support. When we heard about the story, we knew that we could help. Our background is in building a center in the Democratic Republic of the Congo for women just like these. And we took our lessons from that center and then started organizing people in the regions where the war is ongoing, places that workers can no longer get to. And we started equipping the people there to care for their neighbors. The way that we did this was by setting up 3 different sites, 2 in Goma and 1 in Bukavu. In those 3 sites, each leader has a group of women that they support with food, with medical supplies, with trauma recovery, and now we're starting income generating projects so that they build the skills to be able to sustain themselves and their children. The leader of one of these programs is named Bibiche. When I first met Bibiche, she had come to the Mama Lynn Center as a survivor. She was nurtured there. She found her calling there to become a nurse. And we, Harper Hill Global, helped her achieve that dream. She's now a nurse and, interestingly enough, had moved from the center to the area where the conflict broke out. So when she was positioned there, after the conflict had somewhat resided, she was able to then help other women who've suffered similar things to what she suffered. This kind of work is so necessary, and the way we do this work is so important. Instead of sending people in to conflict zones, we work with the people who are known by one another, who already have the trust of the community, and who are willing and have the care and the love and the empathy to help them in new ways, all with the support of Harper Hill Global. I would like to welcome Bibiche to speak. And we have Junie Nkonge Kalau, who is going to interpret her speech for her.
Just a note to everybody, we have the live interpretation. So to listen to the interpretation in English, on the lower bar, you will see a little globe. You can select interpretation and select the English channel so that you can hear the interpretation in English to Bibiche's speech. Bibiche, can you please unmute?
Oh.
Oui,
Yeah.
maman Lily. M'avait dit qu'il y a quelqu'un qui va interpréter ça en français, mais jusque-là, je n'entends rien.
Okay. Jeannie, if you would explain to her. Okay. Can you tell her that?
Allô?
Eh,
And Junie, you may want to also speak it in case she doesn't see her chat.
she won't be able to listen to Junie, unfortunately, because she has to be able to select the Bibiche, est-ce que vous pouvez regarder le chat pour le message de Junie?
Pardon?
Vous pouvez regarder le chat. Eh,
Gardez quoi? Allô?
okay, so I disabled the interpretation right now so that Junie, she can listen, she can hear you now.
Bonjour bébé, je suis là pour interpréter pour vous.
Oui, madame.
Donc, vous pouvez donner votre speech et je vais l'interpréter au groupe.
Et je vous donne ça.
Non, vous pouvez parler et moi je vais interpréter pour vous.
Je parle par rapport à mon discours.
Oui, vous pouvez donner votre discours.
Bon, en fait, moi, c'est Bibiche Okala Ohanga. Je suis diplômée au centre Maman Lène. Ça fait depuis 2021 que je suis en train d'exercer mon métier d'infirmière. Après, je me suis retrouvée ici à Goma, au conflit que nous avons ici, et puis j'ai aidé certaines femmes. Certaines femmes.
Junie, can you please share what Bibiche has just said? I think her screen has frozen. There will always be okay, just to say there will always be technical difficulties and we will overcome them. Junie?
Allô?
Good.
Allô?
We can hear you.
Allô?
Oui, nous vous écoutons. Hein? Tu peux parler.
Bon,
Oui,
je
tu peux
m'excuse
parler,
un peu
vas-y.
parce que ici chez nous, il pleut parce que j'ai problème de la connexion. Et je voudrais dire que
Je suis en ligne, maman Nelly. I'm online.
Okay.
Ok, vas-y, Dada. Vas-y.
je voudrais un peu partager mon histoire. Survivante d'un viol et stigmatation, je suis une diplômée du centre Maman Lène à Kindu en RDC où j'ai trouvé la guérison acquis des compétences génératrices, de revenus, l'intégration sociale et découvert ma vocation d'infirmière. Avec le soutien de Harper Global, j'ai pu réaliser mon rêve et j'ai commencé à exercer mon métier d'infirmière depuis 2021. Aujourd'hui, je suis installée à Goma en RD Congo. Je me suis retrouvée une fois de plus au milieu d'un conflit violent où j'ai commencé à aider d'autres survivantes de viols. Les viols combats de Goma en RDC m'ont trouvé à l'hôpital où j'étais de service de garde. En face de moi, j'avais plusieurs femmes et enfants victimes de viols, femmes en attendant d'accouchement, brusques, les enfants abandonnés, fuyant la guerre, sans abri, bref, compétences infirmières. À mon empathie et à mon leadership courageux, j'ai dirigé un groupe de survivantes, leur fournissant de nourriture, des fournitures médicales, une aide à la guérison des traumatismes et plus récemment des compétences génératrices de revenus. Ces femmes également étonnées d'apprendre de mon histoire et sont déterminées à suivre mon modèle pour l'avenir car après la viol et la stigmatisation, il y a la vie et il y a une grande espoir. Je voulais un peu parler des témoignages d'Henriette que je viens d'aider ici récemment. Henriette, c'est une jeune fille de 19 ans, était une victime. Je l'ai aidée par l'intermédiaire de Harper Global. Je l'ai aidée parce qu'elle avait été abandonnée par sa famille, même par l'homme qui l'avait mise enceinte. Mais grâce à mon leadership, grâce à Harper Global et nous l'avons aidée à acheter des vêtements pour bébé, puis elle a donné naissance à un bébé prématuré. Harper Global a envoyé l'argent pour la mettre dans une couveuse jusqu'à ce que le bébé prenne du poids. Et aujourd'hui, sa mère l'appelle. Malgré cela, Harper Global a payé son billet pour Kindu. Et maintenant, il est aujourd'hui à Kindu. L'impact de l'entrepreneuriat sur la pâtisserie et savonnerie que nous avons commencé. Aujourd'hui, 20 femmes violées viennent de trouver le matériel et équipements pour les pâtisseries et les savonneries. Elles commencent à avoir une autonomie financière et s'entraident mutuellement dans l'amour. Je vous prie de suivre un peu extrait de ces femmes violées qui deviennent aujourd'hui utiles dans leur famille, respectivement, et dans la société. Dans quelques minutes, je termine le petit témoignage, je vous enverrai. Je suis fière aujourd'hui de Harper Global, de tout ce qu'il a fait pour moi de devenir une femme de valeur qui commence à encadrer les autres femmes. Je compte aussi sur l'accompagnement de mon évêque Antoine Kalematambo et toute la région épiscopale de l'Est. Bibiche, Okala, Ohanga. Merci beaucoup pour tout.
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Bibi. Merci pour ton témoignage.
Junie, would you now share her message in English?
Wow. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Were you able to hear me in English?
Yes.
No.
We
Oh,
were we heard you on the English
Okay.
channel.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't click that. Okay. So I want to pause there and I want to invite questions for Bibiche and thoughts about what she has just shared. I have also posted her message in the chat. I want to also add that Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo has faced decades of violent conflict that's fueled by ethnic tensions, political instability, and struggles over mineral wealth. Women have endured the gravest consequences. Sexual violence has been used as a weapon of war to terrorize communities and dismantle the social fabric. Survivors often face lasting physical and psychological effects and trauma, and economic marginalization. They also face social rejection. Displacement has forced many women to shoulder the dual burdens of survival and caregiving under desperate conditions. Despite these immense hardships, women in Eastern Congo have emerged as vital agents, just like Bibiche, of resilience and change. They lead training, like Bibiche does, in income-generating skills, provide trauma recovery and community support. Their courage helps the whole community shape a new path towards healing, equity, and peace in one of the world's most challenging humanitarian contexts. She is a registered nurse, and you can see how she's using those skills. And through her efforts, we have provided food, medical supplies, and income-generating skills to help these women rebuild their lives, regain peace and dignity. I want to see if there are others who want to comment or engage Bibiche or offer their thoughts about the work that they're also doing in that region. And you can add to the chat, or you could speak.
And Junie, we will be able to all hear you. I have disabled the interpretation channel so that you can speak both English and French.
Okay, great.
I want to see if there are any additional remarks that Bibiche would like to make.
Bibiche, est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose que vous voulez ajouter sur ce que vous avez dit?
Par rapport à ce que je voulais dire, il n'y a pas à ajouter, mais il y a seulement les gens qui veulent plus de l'aide.
I don't have anything to add from what I said, but just to say that there are a lot of people who are needing help.
Et il y a aussi quelques victimes que j'ai avec eux à la maison. Ils voulaient qu'ils puissent étudier aussi. Mais
And I have some
malheureusement,
survivors.
pas là.
And I have some survivors with me at the house who would like to study, but unfortunately there are no means.
Parce qu'ils se sont venus se cacher avec moi depuis la guerre. J'étais avec Henriette et il y a aussi d'autres qui sont là-bas chez moi.
They came to hide after the war. I was with them here, and there was Henriette before, and there are others like her with me at my house.
I want to just share how you can help. Harper Hill Global is seeking partnerships and donations to further this work in the DR Congo. We are an implementing partner for other groups that are already working in that region, and we can extend the reach of other corporations, other NGOs' work in that region. Bibiche needs to reach more women in Goma. We have 3 sites. We have 2 in Goma and 1 in Bukavu. And those have begun as a grassroots kind of program. We know how many we've reached through those 3 programs, and it's only around 100 women. With the support, we could multiply that, and we could bring more food and immediate relief to these women and their families. We could provide the psychosocial support that they need to reintegrate into society, which often it rejects the women when they've been raped. We also need help with the trauma recovery efforts that we do there in training more leaders in that region to be able to help people heal in the immediate aftermath. We all have been hurt in our lives, and sometimes our friends and our families don't really know what to say to us. The training that we offer, the Triumph Over Trauma training, teaches people how to recognize the signs of trauma, how to understand how our bodies function after trauma through triggers and trauma reminders. And it also teaches people self-soothing skills to be able to self-regulate, self-soothe, and feel a sense of peace again. What other questions or comments do you have? I see that there's a question about the current situation in Goma with the M23 movement. Bibiche, can you offer any updates on the rebel movement within Goma?
Bibiche, il y a une question sur la situation actuelle à Goma. Il y a quelqu'un qui veut savoir quelle est la situation actuelle à Goma avec le mouvement M23 dans la région.
Bon, madame, jusqu'à présent, nous sommes toujours dans l'insécurité parce que les M23 sont toujours ici. Nous avons même les difficultés de trouver même la nourriture aussi parce qu'ils sont encore là.
So far, there are still a lot of insecurities, especially even finding food is difficult. So the M23 group is still in Goma.
Thank you, Bibiche. Merci beaucoup.
D'accord.
We have a hand up from Diodon.
Dieudonné? Yes, Dieudonné.
Yes, nice to see you again, Neely. Thank you. Bibiche, je voulais juste vous dire que moi-même, j'ai des membres de famille à Goma. Et je voulais vraiment vous féliciter pour votre travail et surtout vous encourager. Parce que je sais que la situation n'est pas vraiment facile. Mais vraiment, c'est juste pour dire mes encouragements et continuer à travailler, à faire du progrès. Et nous sommes avec vous dans tout ce que vous faites. C'est une situation difficile qui n'est pas facile, mais ça prendra fin. Merci.
D'accord, merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup pour tout. Nous sommes en train seulement de supporter, mais Dieu va aussi nous aider.
Dieudonné was offering encouragement to Bibiche for all the work that she's doing. He has family members in Goma, and he knows the situation is not easy. And of course, Bibiche responded thanking him, and that they're continuing to do the work.
Thank you. We have a question in the chat, and we will wrap up this segment after these final two questions because I see something from Robert St. Thomas and also another hand is raised. So Bibiche, what are the ways that women come to know about the work that you are doing?
Bibiche, quels sont les moyens par lesquels les femmes découvrent le travail que vous faites, l'existence des centres qui viennent en aide aux victimes de viol?
Pardon?
Quels sont les moyens par lesquels les gens découvrent votre travail et les centres d'aide aux victimes? Comment les gens viennent à découvrir votre travail ou même les centres?
It looks like the connection may have dropped. Okay. I think Jacina, let's go ahead to you, and then I hope that Bibiche will come back.
Hello.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Jenis from Bangladesh. And now it is our country. Here is interim government, but nowadays we are so corrupted country because our interim government they cannot control our society, our country law department. That's why we are affected from death and women violence. And so we want to recover our country. At this moment, in this situation, there is no law action and there is no effective action. They cannot handle our society nowadays, and the women are very like they're all over our country. They're very miserable, leading their life.
Thank you, Jacina. I was not able to understand everything. Jeannie? Okay. Jacina, I hope that you will also type your thoughts into the chat because we want to capture that
Thank you.
as well. Thank you. We're going to be moving on because we have another story from Doris Adamu Jenis, and I'm going to share my screen and show you a video about the important work that she's doing in northern Nigeria. In northern Nigeria, we have a phenomenal women's leader. Her name is Doris Adamu Jenis, and Doris and her colleague, Dr. Rhoda Manzo, first learned Triumph Over Trauma curriculum through a training that we offered online in 2021. We started with them as two of our first 3 pilot groups, knowing that they wanted to be able to help their neighbors recover from trauma. There's no access to mental health services. If someone had money, they still couldn't afford to get to the place. Likewise, if they lived in a place where there was mental health support and they couldn't afford it, then they couldn't access it. So Doris and Rhoda began reaching out and leading these groups. People there started breaking the silence over mental health, trauma, and really breaking and diminishing the stigma behind mental health. Instead of keeping silent and staying in pain and suffering, they started coming together and realizing that they are not alone, that bad things happen to good people across the board, and that we all are living with something that we've gone through. Since 2021, we have reached over 65,000 people in northern Nigeria and some other places in Nigeria, all because the way that we organized. Doris and Rhoda began their groups, but then we quickly brought together women from each of the regions throughout northern Nigeria to learn from them how to lead a group. Once they learned, they could go back home and start their own groups. We've now got 70 leaders of Triumph Over Trauma in northern Nigeria. So that's only an average of 250 people that each leader has actually worked with. And that's a small estimate. In addition to that, they run radio, advertising, just to help people in the community know that they are not alone and that hope can be just around the corner. I would like to now introduce Doris Adamu Jenis and welcome her to share her thoughts about this vital program. Armaya, are you able to help with turning the camera on and unmuting?
Yes, I just turned the camera on and I've unmuted so you can hear her now.
Thank you.
Greetings to you all.
Hello.
I'm very sorry. My network give me problems.
Okay. Okay, we also have Doris's video, and so we can play that and share that. So, Doris, would you like for me to play the video of your message? Okay.
Okay. Sorry for coming late. The network give me problem. I have to run to Irimia's office so that I can meet the meeting. So I'm
Okay,
late. Yes.
it's okay. I will play the video and then you can take questions afterward.
Okay.
Good day. My name is Doris Adamu Jenis, the Country Director of Crime Over Trauma and Stigma Initiative, DRC, in Nigeria. DRC is non-governmental, non-religious, non-political, non-profit making organization that is duly registered. DRC has 14 facilitators with about 70 groups under it and have reached out to over 65,000 people through its advocacy and activities in Nigeria. I will be speaking on the need for Crime Over Trauma and Stigma initiative in my area. The Crime Over Trauma and Stigma initiative, TOTSI, is a duly registered, non-governmental, non-religious, non-political, and non-profit organization committed to promoting healing, resilience, and societal well-being. The initiative operates with a team of 14 trained facilitators and currently oversees about 70 active support and advocacy groups across various communities. Through its awareness campaign, capacity building workshop, and group dialogues, TOTSI has successfully reached and impacted more than 65,000 individuals across Nigeria. The organization continues to expand its outreach, fostering safe spaces for emotional recovery, reducing stigma associated with trauma, and empowering community members to build healthier, more supportive environments. The Crime Over Trauma and Stigma Initiative, TOTSI, operating with support from Harper Global, addresses the growing burden of psychological trauma and social stigma across Gombe State and other states of Nigeria. Some Nigerian states continue to feel the ripple effect of decades of structural vulnerabilities and episodic crises. These include insurgency, banditry, and communal violence, economic shock, prevalence of gender-based violence, child abuse, rape, early and forced marriage, substance abuse and misuse, harmful cultural practices, widespread poverty and unemployment, among so many more. Trauma from this source is not only an individual clinical issue, it destroys family functioning, reduces economic productivity, undermines schooling, and erodes trust in institutions. Stigma towards the survivors of church compounds suffering by blocking access to care, increasing isolation, and preventing social and economic reintegration. Has a way of addressing the menace and offering support to victims, survivors of this trauma and stigma. Crime Over Trauma and Stigma Initiative, through her activities, are offering psychosocial support and trauma-informed care through community counseling groups, sensitization campaigns, and advocacy visits to schools, religious centers, faith leaders, traditional rulers. communities, vulnerable people, survivors, families, among others. Also, Tutsi have carried out her sensitization through radio's jingles and programs in Hausa and English language respectively, considering it is the most dominantly spoken language in the northeastern Nigeria, where Tutsi carry out most of their activities. Sensitization for community leaders, women leaders, religious leaders, youth groups, among others in different communities, especially within Gombe State and other states of Nigeria. So far, these activities and help being rendered by Tutsi have proven to be effective and has touched so many lives positively. It has offered awareness and exposure to people, reoriented their mindset, and changed certain narratives in communities where Tutsi have visited. People now offer much care and attention to survivors, and some harmful cultural practices have been discouraged. Survivors now open up and speak, and that has reduced the reoccurrence of trauma and stigma. The Triumph Over Trauma and Stigma initiative need to be sustained because trauma exposure is recurrent. Short-term projects treat symptoms, but sustained programs create lasting community resilience. The initiative provides a vital platform for healing. Awareness creation and empowerment, breaking the silence around trauma and promoting community resilience through education, advocacy, and psychosocial support. The program also fosters empathy, inclusion, and collective recovery. Its continued presence helps normalize conversation around mental health and reduces the culture of shame often associated with seeking support. Even though the initiative have faced so many challenges, ranging from inadequate funds to carry out its advocacy, hitch free, including mobility, issues to hard to reach areas, especially in the grassroots, and inability to equip victims, survivors with skills for their self-sustenance. Also, Tutsi still experience inadequate funds to cater for some of the advocacy through radio programs and jingles, sponsorship of educational endeavors for victims, survivors, among others. In light of the realities facing our communities today, sustaining and expanding the Triumph Over Trauma and Stigma initiative is not just important, it is urgent. The wounds of trauma do not heal on their own, and stigma continues to silence countless survivors who deserve understanding, support, and dignity. Tutsi has already proven its impact by restoring hope, rebuilding confidence, and inspiring change in individuals and communities across Nigeria. With increased support, resources, and collaboration, this initiative can continue to transform pain into purpose, isolation into connections, and despair into renewed strength. Investing in Tutsi is investing in the healing and future of our people. Together we can build communities where no one suffers in silence and everyone has the opportunity to rise beyond their trauma.
Thank you so much, Doris, for such a powerful message, but most of all for your leadership. You have vision, and you are carrying that out with the support of your family and all of the other women who've been trained by you and who support this work in all the ways that they can. I'd like to open it up and see who has questions or comments for Doris. I know that we've heard about how she is limited in the abilities that she has to reach more people. And in 2026, we want to overcome those limits. We want to provide Doris with the transportation, with the office space, with the regional training events that will help spread this throughout northern Nigeria and other parts of Nigeria as well. So I invite questions at this point. And I also invite Doris, because it looks like your network is a little bit clearer. I invite you to add anything to the speech that you have given.
First of all, I thank God for connecting me with the Hi-Fi Hill Global. I thank Hi-Fi Hill. I thank Reverend Nancy Neely Hicks. I thank the people that are donating for this work. And I am always my prayers that they will have more strength, more wisdom, more grace. So, open doors so that they can put more hands so that this work will continue without stopping. So I appreciate every hand that put in this work. So I am praying that may God continue to connect us with the good people, even if they connect us with someone that is not good, God will make that person to be good because of what we are doing is a good work. So I'm appreciating all of you there.
Thank you, Doris. We have a question for you in the chat. Louise is asking if you work with men as well as women.
Again, come again.
Yes. Louise is asking if you work with men as well as women.
Yes. Before we start with the rapes and stigma, we are dealing with only women and girls. But after men show interest, so now we are include all men, boys who are ready to get to hear us. They are welcome. So now I am working with both men and women, boys and girls. Yes.
Thank you. Would you like to say more about that? How does the work differ when you're working with women from working with men? Do you see any additional psychological issues because of masculinity?
When I am working with the women, though if you combine them together, some will be they will be fearing. But some are, because of the teaching, they now used to open up. So if sometimes I meet the people one-on-one and speak to them. Yes, but some used to open up in the groups. So sometimes I will meet men, I will meet women, sometimes they are combined together.
Thank you. And you also have male trainers and facilitators.
Yes, I have male for facilitators. I have women facilitators.
Yes, and so do the men sometimes lead men's groups?
Yes, sometimes they lead men groups. Sometimes we go together in group and meet the both men and women.
Thank you. Doris has told me before about various cases where she has gone to the homes of people who have been subject to sexual violence. And one of those cases was a woman whose young daughter was raped. Doris tended to her, cared for her in ways that her own faith community had not. And so in this, we see this also coming together of people who are focused on trauma recovery and the other outside divisions like religion, religious affiliation can sometimes melt away because you're focusing on a common human need of trauma recovery. Doris, would you like to add anything to the thoughts of you going into Muslim schools and into the homes of Muslim neighbors? While you are Christian, how do you help to bridge that gap between religious differences?
Please,
Doris,
can you explain more the question? I didn't understand it.
yes, we know that you and your team go into various places where they have religious differences, where they have maybe tribal differences. What is it like for you to stand in that gap and build a bridge between communities? I think we're losing the bandwidth. Okay. I'm not sure if Doris is able to hear. I think at this point, I want to ask if any of you have questions about this session today. I noticed in the chat that someone asked about the curriculum that Doris uses. I provide free online training, and we will be doing another one in January. The curriculum is called Triumph Over Trauma, and you can find it at triumphovertrauma.info. Everything is free to download. We have it in English, so we work with people who are bilingual or multilingual and train them in the regions where they live, and then they interpret it to their neighbors. We do have it in Spanish, but that is not, useful in this situation in Africa. What other comments and questions do you have?
Good evening.
I see one in the chat. Oh, Armaya, let's go to you first. Armaya, introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, ma. I'm Ibrahim Mayamba Jenis from Gombe State, Nigeria. Yeah, this
Yeah.
program has been profitable to us. With regard to the question you asked Mrs. Doris, yeah, here in Nigeria, as a lady, to enter other people's houses is more easier. Yeah, because as female, they don't see it as anything. Yeah. So it's more easier for her to enter into their houses in order to make inquiries against the happenings in their various houses. Yeah.
That's really powerful to think the power of a woman being able to bridge those gaps where others may not be able to.
Yes.
Thank you, Armaya.
Yes.
We only have about 4 minutes left, and we do have a question in the chat from Tim Tanton about sharing how Harper Hill Global is able to leverage partnerships with other entities or organizations to meet these needs. The partnerships are everything. The partnerships are everything. When we combine our forces together with other organizations, we're able to multiply the work even more. We have individual donors at Harper Hill Global who provide the access for Doris and Bibiche to be able to do their work. But every donation is it doesn't add up to the amount that is needed to expand this work. So if we can partner with other larger NGOs who are already investing in northern Nigeria and East Congo, we can do so much more together. Harper Hill Global's network of people on the ground throughout Africa and other parts of this world is pretty incredible. And we know and work with people who can be trusted, who are great at project management, who are able to provide reports and documentation of the work. And we really hope that some of you on this call today who work with other agencies will consider us to work with you so that we can do more in these regions together. We are now closing out this session, and as I said, we have recorded it. I will share the recording, the video recording with each of you. And I hope that you will go to harperhill.global, which is the website of the nonprofit that I began in 2017, and that you will check out the blog, the stories of lives that are impacted, and that you will join us in this work together. I want to thank especially our speakers, to Bibiche and to Doris and Armaya. And I also want to thank Jenis Nkonge for being our translator, for Marilyn Hogan Clover for doing the technology. And I am seeing Fabienne has a question. We have one hand raised. So we have 1 minute. Fabienne, would you like to ask?
Yes, dear. Can I speak, please?
Yes, we just have about a minute left.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for giving me the floor. I'm Fabienne from DRC. I'm a SIAT member. Okay. I'm going to speak in French for the good understanding. Merci beaucoup. Merci encore une fois pour les Hill Global. Merci pour l'assistance que vous ne cessez de donner en faveur des femmes survivantes, non seulement de la RD Congo à travers Bibiche, mademoiselle Bibiche, mais aussi celle de Nigeria à travers madame Doris. Nous vous remercions sincèrement. Je voulais juste vous demander de nous aider à mener les plaidoyers, puisque, comme j'ai écrit dans le chat, avant-hier, le 28 de ce mois, nous avons fêté le 25e anniversaire de la résolution 1325. Alors, je suis en train de me demander, est-ce que nous allons de la RD Congo, allons-nous continuer à fêter les anniversaires de la résolution 1325 qui prône la femme et la paix et la sécurité au moment où nous continuons à croupir dans des misères, nous continuons à vivre dans des guerres, nous sommes traumatisés, nous sommes forcés d'abandonner nos maisons, nos champs, nos biens, nos élevages. Nous perdons nos frères et sœurs du jour au lendemain. En tout cas, franchement, pour nous, ça ne sert plus à rien de continuer à festoyer la résolution 1325 qui nous amène à rien. Et de là, je m'en vais vous dire que si nous sommes encore debout, nous, femmes de l'Est de la RD Congo, et plus précisément de la région ou de la province du Sud Kivu, c'est grâce à SIAT. C'est grâce à SIAT qui continue à accompagner les femmes agriculteurs. SIAT nous donne non seulement des techniques sur l'agriculture, mais aussi des outils aratoires ainsi que des semences. C'est ce qui nous fait vivre jusqu'à présent. Sinon, nous, femmes de la RD Congo, nous continuons à mener des combats. Et les combats, c'est sur 3 axes, sur le savoir, sur l'avoir et sur le pouvoir. Ainsi, nous demandons à Hill Global de nous tenir par la main, de nous accompagner dans cette lutte, puisque ce n'est pas facile pour nous. Nous traversons des cauchemars, franchement. Merci beaucoup. Merci de m'avoir écouté.
Merci beaucoup. Marilyn, can you please translate?
I'm not that versed in French, but Fabienne was speaking a lot about the resolution and the anniversary of of what is really being happening, and just asking to keep helping for all of that they're doing. That's kind of the gist of what I got. If anybody who has a better French than me wants to share, that would be great. But thank you so much, Fabienne. Merci beaucoup, Fabienne.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
And Fabienne, you can also email me your thoughts, and then we will distribute those as well.
Okay.
So we'll be following up.
I'm doing it right now.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks to everyone for being on this important call. I do hope that you remember Harper Hill Global in your end of year giving, that you remember us when you are implementing programs in various parts of the world and you want a partner, a strong partner with grassroots connections to help. I hope that each of you have a good day, evening, night, and I look forward to being in touch. Thank you.